getting the microphone ready. Very excited that I can finally share. I am pregnant. If you are new here, my name is Sharon. I talk about all things intentional life and style. I just figured that I might as well share my whole experience with my first trimester. When I first found out I was pregnant, it was a little bit unexpected in that Henry and I didn't think it would happen so fast. I didn't really know what to do and what to expect. That's kind of why I want to provide this video, because a lot of the videos that I was watching were extremely helpful. I documented my first trimester once every 2 weeks. I tried to. So I do want to put in snippets of those. Hopefully it'll be a well-rounded video for those who may want to understand the experience or may want to hear it from another person's point of view. Everyone's experience can be very different, so just keep that in mind. This is just from my perspective and what I've gone through, my experiences, and I just thought I would share. I'm pregnant. Oh my gosh. I do want to apologize for my voice. I have a very scratchy throat with this being my first pregnancy. I am like absolutely clueless about everything. I've never really been one to dream about being pregnant and dream about having a family. Not that I've never wanted one. Like, I've never really been too curious about it. And because now that it's happening, I'm scrambling to get all the information and just trying to understand what pregnancy entails and what to expect. I am 15 weeks and 2 days today, though when you see this, I'll likely be in my 16th week. I'm in my mid-30s. Maybe by some standards that is pretty late, but this is my very first pregnancy. Overall, how I've been feeling, pretty good considering, especially now that I'm in my second trimester. There are certain days where, to be honest, I don't really feel anything. Everything seems to be going very smoothly, so I'm very, very grateful. How I found out, some of this might be TMI. I have been tracking my menstrual cycle for a while now. I want to say for at least 6 months. I just used the Apple Health app. So I would log in the first day of my period, each of the days of my period, and the last day of my period. And my cycles are usually pretty consistent. So because of that consistency, I can rely pretty well on that app. During the scan this past Monday, I was 8 weeks and 4 days, which was pretty much right on the dot to what I predicted. Tracking my period through the health app on Apple, it was pretty accurate. So I think that's just a really simple and easy way to track your menstruation cycle. Usually right before my period starts, I get some spotting. When the health app predicted the first day of my period in December, I didn't have any sort of spotting leading up to that, which would have been December 10th. So I just decided to test on December 11th. I have these strips from Ovary. They provide ovulation, pregnancy, even like a male fertility kit. Lots of variety in sustainable ways. You can buy like a package of them, and it's basically just a strip. They were actually on, I think it was Shark Tank, or was it Dragon's Den? It was one or the other. If you buy the plastic, bigger, bulkier pregnancy test from the drugstore, what's in it is basically one of these strips. So I really appreciate Ovary showing that. I tested, no expectation at all. It was 20 seconds after, and I immediately saw the second line. It was dark. It was very obvious that I had those HCG levels. When I found out, I was 4 weeks and 4 days. So these strips do a really good job in detecting quite early. A few weeks prior, I did feel like I had more bloating than I was used to. Just didn't really think anything of it. I did want to make it special for Henry. I have this cute little setup here for when Henry gets home. A Dragonite to represent our little dragon baby, because Henry is a big fan of Pokemon. A bottle of scotch so he can maybe celebrate with it. 2 positive pregnancy tests. And then I got this little ornament. I think it's so cute. Our little present is due to be unwrapped 2024. I cannot wait till he gets home and sees this. And I surprised him with it when he got home from work the next day. So it was very special. He was immediately emotional, and it was just a really special moment between us. If you're familiar with the Chinese zodiac, it is the year of the dragon. And what makes it special for us is I'm a dragon, Henry's a dragon, Henry's mom is a dragon, and my dad is a dragon. A dragon baby. To have had it happened just made it that much more special. A few days after I found out, I started feeling this pulling and tugging in my uterus area, which I understand to be the embryo implanting. I didn't experience any implantation bleeding. It was just very interesting to feel those changes right after I found out, to really solidify the fact that I'm pregnant. I was pretty lucky in experiencing quite mild symptoms. I haven't felt anything too out of the ordinary, aside from certain symptoms that come along with having my period. So tender breasts, yes, but nothing out of this world. In terms of cramping, nothing out of the ordinary as well. Not really any sort of constipation like some other people have experienced. I am definitely peeing more. The urgency to pee is waking me up earlier in the mornings. Oh, I'm also a little bit more gassy. I think that comes with it. I haven't experienced nausea yet either. Thankfully, this is the start of week 7. I am feeling okay. A little bit of nauseousness. I was pretty sick for a few days right after last Saturday when I recorded something like this. Whenever I cough, I'll gag. Again, this might be TMI. Yeah, a little bit of like gagging, but no throwing up. Sometimes when I have a meal, I'll feel a little bit nauseous from that. I don't know if that's maybe like the heartburn. Yesterday, when I was pretty hungry right before dinner, I was feeling nauseous. I just can't really pinpoint what it is that I'm feeling in terms of eating. I feel like I'm getting kind of like a loss of appetite as opposed to just feeling full-blown nauseous. And my appetite just isn't really there, and I can tell that really clearly because I love food and I can basically eat anything. Like, you put anything in front of me. I'm usually not very picky, and these days I feel like every time I eat something, I just have that feeling of like dissatisfaction. I'm craving for something more, but I can't pinpoint what it is that I'm craving. Some unusual food cravings that aren't really unusual, they're just more unusual for me. Dumplings and chili oil. I usually don't use chili oil on a lot of things. Oh, we made some congee when I was sick. So we made the congee with brown rice. I'll be honest, it was not the most pleasant meal that I've had. Something about brown rice puts me off. I did do some last minute shopping a few days ago. I did feel slightly out of breath, more so than I would, even just walking at my own pace. Right now, I'm starting week 10. I ended up just not documenting the last few weeks. I don't know, I just didn't feel any significant change from the last time I recorded this. I get like a tinge of nausea when I'm really hungry. Other than that, like, I honestly feel like I'm living my regular life. This goes to show for anyone who might be experiencing almost zero symptoms like I am, that things are okay. And I've also read that even though it is not common, it is not impossible. The last few weeks, I was craving noodles like crazy. And the weird thing, I'll crave something and I'll have it and I still won't feel fully satisfied. Food itself doesn't seem too enticing. The only thing that I don't mind is a fruit smoothie. Like, fruit actually tastes really good to me, which is really odd because I'm not a big fruit eater. Like, meat and dairy don't seem very enticing to me these days. Sometimes at the end of the day, I almost look like I'm in my second trimester. So bloating is definitely a thing. I'm still having that one small cup of coffee in the mornings. I really try to limit any sort of other caffeine. So even like chocolate, I'll try not to have that if I have my cup of coffee. My skin was so dry at the beginning of my pregnancy. Of course, I'm drinking a ton of water every day. Hydration is really important, especially when you're pregnant. Although I'm waking up like once a night to have to pee, even if I have one sip of water right before bed, I have to wake up in the middle of the night. Last thing I've noticed, I was doing a leg workout, something that I do very regularly. I lowered my weights. After each set, I was so out of breath. That was one wake-up call in a way to really try to ease into things as opposed to trying to keep up with the way that I used to do things. I am in my 11th week. Today is the first time that I've actually felt pretty nauseous all day. I ended up going to the grocery store earlier. The whole time, I just felt so nauseous. I could barely buy anything. Opening up the fridge makes me nauseous. Whatever I was craving a few days ago or a week ago, not craving that at all right now. no more noodles. This is kind of all the energy that I had to record something. A little bit more of a visible bump, something that I definitely can't hide much with my clothing. I'm really struggling with my content. I'm not putting together any sort of outfits for it. It's really hard to find that motivation right now. I did experience some hormonal acne in the beginning. I have makeup on right now, so maybe you can't really see them, but the hormonal breakouts are happening. I get breakouts on my forehead quite often, and those are happening, and unfortunately I can't use retinol or do any sort of treatments to prevent those. But now that weeks have gone by, luckily I haven't really experienced much of that. I want to attribute a lot of my breakouts in the past to staying up late, going out, drinking alcohol, because I'm not doing that anymore and my skin is really clearing up. It's just an interesting correlation. Thought I would just talk very raw and vulnerable about the acceptance of body and lifestyle changes. I stumbled upon an Instagram reel and I resonated with her so much.
What's the hardest part about being pregnant?
When I was pregnant, I would say like being pregnant was harder than being a mom, because those first 4 months, they were horrible. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it is so strange. Like, you feel alien in your own body. Your body is doing all of this stuff that you have no control over. So you start to feel this loss of autonomy. Then there's so many things you can't do anymore. Things you can't eat anymore, places you can't be around. And so I think I grieved in that first trimester, second trimester, a lot of that loss of autonomy.
Just the way that she explained her experience, and then just going forward week after week, it really is how I started to feel. I've always been the type who's been able to control my body composition. I would do what I needed to do in terms of my diet and exercise. I'd be pretty committed if I wanted to get to a certain physique. Not saying that that is the healthy way of approaching things, that's just how I approached a lot of my lifestyle. Having to let go of that control was a little bit difficult. Still is a little bit right now, especially since a lot of my clothes don't fit the same way that they used to. Everything feels tight. Around the hips, the jeans are a lot tighter, and around the waist, around the stomach area, I think the bloating is contributing a lot to that. These are one of my favorite pair of jeans. They're the Everlane Way-High jean. Unfortunately, they're not really fitting the way that they normally do. I have no idea what I'm gonna do about my outfits. I love my clothes so much. And I guess that's the result of being so intentional these last few years with adding to my wardrobe. I'm gonna try to wear jeans as much as I can right now and really embrace these body changes, even though I'm kind of not ready. It's been interesting trying to let go of who I once was and accepting who I am now and who I'll become later. There's also the whole having to change out certain products in my beauty routine, like getting rid of retinol. I've stopped using AHAs, BHAs. Luckily for a lot of my makeup products, I do use powdered products, which are not a concern during pregnancy. I've stopped using some of my liquid products. I ended up also swapping my shampoo, conditioner, and body wash just to regular Aveeno. Figured that I wouldn't just go out and like splurge on all of that. Had to make those changes pretty quickly, and then also facing the reality that I have to do less. Especially during the first trimester, like I did not have a desire to do anything. While doing my research, I've started to understand how important it is to keep yourself healthy throughout your pregnancy, how exercise and eating a healthy, well-balanced diet is encouraged. I think one of the really great things about finding out that you're pregnant is really being proactive in the healthy eating and exercising realm. I'm eating tofu, quinoa, and broccoli. I just have this really strong desire to eat well and really try to adopt the later physical activity more consistently into my lifestyle. I don't know, I feel really motivated to do that. Nope. That all went out the door. I was craving the worst foods. I couldn't get myself to really cook anything. So lots of takeout. Felt incapable of feeding myself properly. Henry, bless him, but he's not the most creative cook in the kitchen. He will cook some chicken, broccoli, and rice, and that would be the last thing I wanted to eat. Oh, did I mention the fatigue during first trimester? Oh That was probably my biggest symptom. Right after lunch, I get tired in that I feel fatigued, but not necessarily sleepy where I can take a nap. And then around like 7:30, I'm ready to just lay down and chill. I had all these grand plans to kickstart my health journey and start exercising a lot more and start eating really healthy. Man, it has been a struggle, especially once the afternoon hits. I'm just so tired. Working out, like I really have to push myself to do something. You could probably see some major dark circles. I think the lighting isn't helping either. Even after getting like 7-8 hours of sleep, which is normally all I need. Trying to work out these last few days has been really hard. I get out of breath really quickly. I cannot lift heavy at all. If anything, I have to rely on my body weight workouts. If I even get to working out, which is probably like once or at most twice a week. My goal to eat really healthy and stay active, yeah, not how I thought it would be. The food aversions and the bit of nausea and then the exhaustion is really taking its toll, and all I want to do is lay down and scroll social media because deep down inside I'm not feeling like myself. I'm just feeling so drained. Like eating pretty badly is not helping either. I hate to be such a downer too because I really try to stay positive a lot of the times, but I think physically and mentally it has been a lot. During half of that trimester, I took a nap after work every day, and I'm usually not a napper. I think that also led to those feelings of being incapable of doing a lot because I just didn't have the energy for it. I don't want this to go like dark and get negative or anything like that. I'm just being totally honest. There are certain times where you can really feel alone. Anxiousness and nervousness, excitement, just all of those feelings combined. Your partner probably has no idea when you're talking about these body changes. Luckily, I have a few friends. They're at a very similar stage in their pregnancy, so I've been able to chat with them. My one friend introduced me to a Facebook group. Being able to search up certain keywords and read others' questions and answers, that's been very helpful. And then therapy. It's just nice to let out those feelings to someone with a very objective view. And then of course, like changes to your social life. We went through the entire holiday season by keeping it a secret from most people, and oh man, that was pretty tough. Just not being able to share this big secret and just feeling so tired, almost to the point where I just felt antisocial. I didn't want to really be around the liquor, and you know, people were having fun and I was just there hanging out, chilling. The crazy part is pregnancy basically takes over your life, is how I feel about it. But I'm also keeping that part a secret for so long. In January, things really slow down. So it was really easy to just hide out, accepting the fact that you won't be able to take part in a lot of activities, like for example, snowboarding. I won't be able to go do that with friends. And things like hiking in the summer, lots of thoughts and lots of scenarios going through your head and trying to accept that this is the new reality. Some people are more than prepared for it. I definitely wasn't, but overall I'm still in a really good headspace. There are a ton of resources. You can even speak to your doctor, and YouTube is pretty good at providing some reassurance as well. So you could probably imagine this is why I haven't been putting out very much fashion content. I am taking this opportunity to try to pivot into more lifestyle. If you caught a few videos back where I talked about my burnout phase, being in my first trimester during that whole ordeal made it a lot worse. Just having both of those hand in hand, it has really shifted my priorities. This is quite honestly a pretty big reason as to why I'm pursuing a low-buy year. I do want to be extremely intentional with my purchases. And material things have really been so much less important for me right after I found out I was pregnant. We're first-time parents, so we're gonna have to buy a lot of things new. I kind of feel like I was lying to you guys because I was keeping this part like such a secret. But I do plan on adding a few more rules to my low-buy year because of this that I I didn't share in my low by year video. In terms of my content, I do want to sprinkle in some fashion still, shopping my closet and wearing what I already have. Of course, there will be maternity wear there, but I think I'm going to challenge myself this year to still try to wear what I already have as my bump continues to grow. Luckily, I do have quite a few relaxed and loose fitting items because that is just the silhouettes that I'm really into now. Thank God, because then I have quite a few options when it comes to dressing the bump. This is where I'm at right now. To be honest, I think a lot of this is bloat. Other stuff that you can expect to see are my low by year recaps, how any pregnancy or mom or baby purchases will affect that. I'm very excited for this pivot. I hope you guys feel the same way. I hope you will stick around through this new life journey that I'm going through. Okay, so just as a quick recap, because this is what I was looking for when I first found out. I didn't really understand the whole process of how the first trimester goes in terms of like logistics and doctor's appointments. I'm just gonna summarize all of this based on my experience as someone who lives in Alberta, Canada. So when I first found out I was pregnant, I contacted my doctor and I went to go see her a few days after, and she had me do a pap test. And then she also provided me with a requisition for blood work. I can't quite remember what it detects for most of it, but it does detect the HCG hormone, which confirms that you're pregnant. Once I did that blood work, the doctor provided me with a requisition for an ultrasound, very first one. So I did mine at around 8 weeks. What you should expect to see is this little flicker, which is basically the heartbeat. Once that's done, they were actually able to book me in for another ultrasound at around 20 weeks. So before that, you do need to get your first trimester scan. So I had to go back to the doctor, get a requisition for that. Right before I hit the end of my 12 weeks is when I got that done. That's where they just make sure the baby is growing like how it should. That first trimester scan involves the nuchal translucency screening that tests for risks of certain birth defects. And then you get that really cute photo of your baby lying on its back. Oh, and not only just the first trimester scan, I also had to get additional blood work done. And so it tests for things like hepatitis. Next up, I have an 18-week checkout with my doctor. Then we find out the gender at our 20-week ultrasound. And then I understand the 18 to 20-week mark to be when an OBGYN will contact you. I did get a referral from my doctor. I should mention for a low-risk pregnancy, that's usually the case, 18 to 20 weeks is when you start seeing an OBGYN. I am considered a low-risk pregnancy, so that's just the way that the process throughout my first trimester went based on that. I hope it covered any sort of questions that you may have had. I do feel very blessed and very grateful and healthy, which is all you can really ask for, right? If you made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around. I appreciate you, and stay tuned for just some really fun content. I will see you at the next one.